How you doing, Paz?
Doing good. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing well. It's good to finally be doing this podcast. There's been a lot of, steps and momentum leading up to this point. So it just feels good to finally get it happening.
Yeah, no, for sure. As I was kind of talking to you about earlier, it was just really cool to see that after 2 weeks of planning, we're finally here, regardless of the situation, regardless of the wind. We've kind of just all
100%.
figured it out.
Yeah, there's been a lot of outside factors that have been trying to prevent this podcast from coming out. So
100%.
that just tells me that it's just a matrix attack and
Yeah.
that this is actually going to be quite good.
Yeah, well, what is a matrix attack to you? That's something that I've always you say it a lot, and it's it's something that I haven't been able to define yet. So
Right.
what would you say it is?
Well, I mean, referring back to like the word Matrix, it basically comes from the movie, right? The
Mhm.
movie, and there's that character Neo, and
Yeah.
there's a society where everyone is basically under this belief that they have this perfect life, that everything works out for them,
Yeah.
and there's just almost like a checks and balances in society where as long as you go do your job, you grow up and you do just what the system tells you, right?
Mhm.
Then you're a good citizen.
Yeah.
But then there's this character named Neo
Mhm.
that kind of saw a different perspective
Yeah.
through, other people that showed him that the Matrix is real and it's a big mask or facade that was put over to basically control people. So when I
For
refer to the
sure.
Matrix, right, obviously there's not a Matrix society under us, but it's more of like this belief that like people in society,
Mhm.
specifically Western culture,
Yeah.
are put under this belief system that like they go to school, they do a good job in school, they go to
They
college,
get a nine
they
to
get a
five.
9 to 5,
Yeah.
and then after that 9 to 5, they get a wife, and then you just kind of get content, and then
Yeah.
that's
Like.
where the story ends, right?
Mhm.
And like living that kind of just non-fulfilling life, at least in my opinion,
Yeah.
is very problematic. So in the sense of a matrix, right? A matrix attack, it's just when things don't go in your favor as they should,
Mhm.
and there's no higher power, there's no specific reason on why. It's
Mhm.
just one of those things.
Yeah.
But understanding that and then pushing through it usually ends to a better result.
Yeah. What I've kind of that's similar to what you're saying about being in a matrix. I kind of look at it more as if I'm in a game, and that life is a game that you have to choose to play. And like, I mean, sorry, you don't have to choose to play, but you're automatically signed up for a game that it has its rules, and if you don't learn how to play within the rules, and some people think that the rules are, get a 9 to 5 and all that, that's how you win. But if you don't learn the actual real rules, then you never really get to be, not just like part of the game or a bot, how you say it,
Right.
but you get to be instead more of like the one that makes the game work for you as well. Like you become kind of like the programmer of your own game, if
100%.
that
It's
makes
like,
sense.
no, absolutely. It's like, many people are in being controlled by something,
Yeah.
i.e., that's either school, a job, a boss, right?
Mhm.
Many don't have actual control over their own lives. We see that with just the outcome people live, the way they do live, right? Many people can't change their diet.
Yeah.
They're now controlled by the food they eat.
Yeah.
Many people can't stop bad habits like smoking,
Mhm.
porn addiction, drugs. So therefore now they're controlled by a vice.
Yeah.
Many people can't learn to level up their income because why? They're controlled by their boss.
Yeah.
How much money they get paid hourly is how much they're worth.
But is it really that they can't? Because for me, it's not that you can't; it's that they don't want to.
Exactly.
And I think that's something very. They think that they can't, but there has to be some type of subconscious part of them that thinks that they're getting benefited by staying in their own ways. Because I don't think that people stay in places that they truly don't want to be in. There has to be a part of that person or a part of you that is happy with the way that you're living, and I think that's where comfortability comes into play. You know?
100%. Well, right, inherently humans like to be
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense, right? People don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't
Mhm.
like bad times.
Yeah.
But it's in those bad times that you actually grow. And so,
Exactly.
I mean, going back to what you're saying, everyone wants a six pack. everyone wants $1 million in
Yeah.
the bank, but no one wants to do the steps to actually obtain those things. And like, what are those
Exactly.
steps, right?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's super hard to get a 4-pack, get really fit, when 90% of it's just changing your diet, actually eating real food that's not poison,
Mhm.
switching to organic, having spring water, and then 10% is gym.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a paradox people live in where
For
they
sure.
think the hardest thing to do
Hmm.
is actually quite the easiest thing, and it's just based off your discipline and actions. So
Oh,
it's
for
it's
sure.
it's an interesting paradox. We see people,
Yeah.
they want what they want, but they can't achieve it just simply based off them and their
Yeah.
own limiting beliefs. Why?
Hmm.
Well, because if you're someone who has not achieved like a resonate within yourself, right? If
Hmm.
you haven't accomplished things throughout your life where you've built up that almost stamina, and where you can basically say, yeah, no, I can do this. It may be hard, but I can do it.
Yeah.
Then
It's
like, how would
basically
you
like
trust yourself?
trusting yourself.
Right. And
Exactly.
if you don't trust
Yeah.
yourself, you're literally your biggest advocate.
Hmm.
Why would anyone trust you?
Exactly. And when you said that, it's more about the relationship that you have within yourself. And this is something that I know you have had to develop in this past year, a better relationship that you have had with yourself, just as how I have. Because this whole past like 2 years, I've understood that I wasn't treating myself in a way that would bear fruit,
Mm,
to like bear the fruit that I would want it to bear, and that is my responsibility, so
right.
basically it's your responsibility, but it's also very important to focus on the relationship that one has within oneself, so that you can kind of even parent yourself,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
absolutely. I mean, it
um
all just stems within,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's what most are lacking. It's just that foundation
Hmm.
that it requires to achieve those certain things. Like you can plant a seed
Hmm.
and you can scream at that seed and you can beg it to grow,
Hmm.
but without watering it, it's fruitless. So
Exactly.
like,
Yeah, no,
works
100%.
without action is just not anything.
Yeah.
It's just words
Yeah.
and thoughts.
No, for sure.
And so that's where I think most miss the mark.
Uh-huh.
And I just think that it's important to understand that within your own life. And many people, they focus on just money,
Mhm.
right? And money, and the aspect of money, it's just like it's a byproduct of that, in my
Mhm.
opinion. What does that mean? So like, when you're a person, you're working on yourself, you're going to the gym, you're building out these habits that are promoting within, they're helping you level up, right?
Mhm.
Your game character per se.
Yeah.
We all have a game character and we're leveling that up.
Mhm.
Inherently, money is just a byproduct of your good compounding effects. Many
Mhm.
people have it flipped where they need to get the money first, and then once they get the money, then they can focus on the other stuff.
Yeah.
But then they wonder why they never get the money.
Yeah.
And it's simply because it's flipped.
For sure. And there's even some people that get the money, but they never are able to become the person that deserves the money, or they didn't put in the work to become the person that deserves the money. So then they lose the money just because energetically that's not where they're at, you
Easy
know?
come, easy go.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
that's why that happens, Yeah, you got
100%.
lucky, but then you have no idea how to actually invest not only the money, but you're in within yourself. So then you lose it to either, addictions, things of this world that aren't necessarily fulfilling or give fruit per
Right.
se. Yeah, but why don't you tell me a little bit more about what shaped you and who made you become who you are? Um,
Absolutely. I mean, I think it all stems first from the childhood, right?
mhm,
Like, we go back to the root. And
mhm,
I lived a very interesting life, one would say. It wasn't easy and it wasn't hard.
mhm,
It was, it just took a lot of calculated moves. I had
mhm.
a lot of siblings in my life, 5 siblings. So the house was never empty,
Yeah,
single mom household. So things weren't always easy.
yeah,
But like growing up in that kind of environment, I really think you're a byproduct also of your environment. So growing up poor, growing up seeing that, seeing my mom struggle,
mhm,
working until 10 p.m.,
mhm,
having to take care of my siblings really grew me as a person to understand that the way that you work necessarily doesn't dictate the way that you live. Meaning, so like my mom would be one of the hardest workers I'd ever see, right?
mhm,
But like money was always tight.
yeah,
So if hard work equated to success, we'd be the most successful people in the world. So
right.
clearly that was not right.
That wasn't working.
It's how you
Yeah.
work, right? It's working smarter, not harder.
Mhm.
And so growing up and seeing that, throughout the years, I just understood like this perception of money that it isn't everything, but it's highly useful. It's a great tool to have. And that's
Yeah.
like in my life, the issue, right? Everyone would be having one common theme in their life, and that was not enough money. It was always the money aspect.
Yeah.
And I just always wondered, like, why does money have to be like something like gold, something so precious and unattainable that it's just everyone wants it? Why can't it be like water or food where you just have it and you don't think about where your next drink's gonna come from,
Yeah.
right? You don't think about when your next meal's gonna come. It just is there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like where I formulated my like
Is
whole
that a
idea of
goal?
money. I mean, I like money. It's a good tool to have, but I don't
Yeah.
want to worry about money,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't want to become something I'm not for money. We see a
Yeah.
lot of people doing that now with like TikTok,
Yeah.
with Instagram Reels, where they're doing these dances that completely violate their moral guidelines and what they would normally do,
Yeah.
but they're just like whores for the likes, right?
Yeah.
They just want those clicks, and it
I've
doesn't make
seen
any
that.
sense.
I've definitely seen that, and I think in a way they can't know enough about themselves. Like there's no way that they're able to put themselves through that. This is my brain speaking also, because this might not be their experience, but I know for a fact that if I would try to whore myself out for likes, kind of like what you said, I just couldn't be able to justify like bringing my value in a way down
Right.
to that level.
Because is it worth it?
Yeah, because to
Is it
me
worth
it's not
it?
worth it.
No.
To me it's not worth it, but that's the interesting part. That's why I think it really comes to like whether you know yourself or you don't. And some people might think that they know themselves, and that's where you get like, you know, there's different podcasts even where girls go and they say like, oh, like I'm an OnlyFans girl and like I love it. It's so empowering, and that to me is so like it's so baffling in a way.
It's a skewed view
It's a skewed view,
of empowerment.
but that's the funny part. It's like, is it really? Because you can't tell anybody to be somebody that they don't want to be. And that is who they want to be. So it's more about like having different levels of consciousness of what I understand. And by consciousness, I mean like realization, like really different levels of understanding of your own self and the part that you play within this game and what you could do instead of just settling for the easiest thing to do, which I think, yeah, some people just like to, take the easiest, most comfortable route.
The path of least resistance.
Exactly.
Right. And it's always, you could do it, but should you do it?
Yeah.
Should be
Yeah,
asked,
yeah.
right? Because
Exactly.
we can do anything we want, but the question is, should we, right? Should I go to McDonald's and eat that? Well, I know the consequences of that would me losing my health. My mind would then start feeling bad. My vibrational frequency would be low, right? So it's just like anything. You can go and do OnlyFans and make the money, but then what's the opportunity cost from that, right? Is the
100%.
ROI worth it?
Yeah.
People knowing that, employers knowing that, even like people don't think long term, like family wise. Growing up with a big family, with not a lot of money, really just showed me a different aspect on life. It's a aspect that I'm grateful for. It just showed me the real world. And what is that? I mean, the real world has pain. It has suffering. It has you going to bed hungry at night, hearing your mom cry at night, not knowing, where the next bill is going to get paid or how we're going to get food.
Yeah.
And I think that fundamentally changed something in me as a young kid, because like family is God's number one, family's number two, in my opinion. And I mean, knowing that and being as close to my family, I just wanted as a kid to help my mom as much as I could. But I understood that I couldn't do it traditionally. There's no way I could. And I figured that hard truth out right when I turned 16. I got a job. I started working at Mama's Pizza. I was basically a pizza guy. I ran the pizza back area.
Yeah.
I made the pizzas. I prepped. I cooked. I did phones. I did the whole thing for what, $9.50 an hour.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was working there for maybe 2 months where I was realizing, basically, I'm working 8 hours and I'm only pulling like $40 to $50 after taxes.
Yeah.
Yet I'm making this person, the owner of this business, $1.2 to $2,000 a night.
For sure.
So I understood something really fast. I understood there was a problem with that, right? Because I'm the one actually making what's causing this business to produce money. So I'm in the wrong business. And
Mm-hmm.
I understood that like working for someone
Mm-hmm. It
is an
just wasn't for you.
unattainable thing for my goals. So what
Mm-hmm.
did I do? Well, most young cats, when they understand that, they quit their job, they get arrogant, they start feeling like they're an entrepreneur just based on their thoughts with no action.
Mm-hmm.
What I did was I kept my head down. I worked hard, I saved my cash up, and I started building that foundation out, right? I started learning a skill.
Mm-hmm.
I like Ty Lopez a lot. He's a
Mm-hmm.
really good guy.
Yeah.
And he was always talking about
Dude.
his sunglasses business, how that's doing 10 to 15K a month. And that sparked something in my head, right? Because if
Yeah.
he can build something out that can make 15 grand a month,
Mm-hmm.
if I can even just do 10% of that and make $1,500 a month on my phone, that's
Mm-hmm.
way more than what I'm making at my pizza job.
Yeah.
So I started building the foundation, one would say, to learn e-commerce. Every night after work, I'd spend 5 or 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd get off at 8 and I'd be finished around 3 or 4, just researching e-commerce entirely. I did
Mm-hmm.
that for months, just researching, right?
Yeah.
I think many people, when they get into business, they jump into it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's like I said, easy come, easy go. And I feel like if you don't build that foundation first and you don't understand what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
you won't actually be successful at it. You may just catch a trend or a wave,
Yeah.
or you won't,
For sure.
right? 99% of Shopify stores fail without one sale.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that statistic and hearing that motivated me, whereas most would just hear that and be demotivated. They'd get sad, right? Oh, man, I can't do that if 99% fail, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I understood I wasn't 99%. And that 1% was a goal of mine to achieve. So, long story short, I was able to build out a few e-commerce stores.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, it was making more than Mama's Pizza was. I'd make
Nice.
more in one day than I would all month working there.
Look
So
at
it just
that.
got to a point where my time, right? Because
Yeah.
I valued my time more
Mm-hmm.
than 9.50 an hour,
For sure.
should be diverted on the stores, the
Yeah.
business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still doing high school at this point.
College.
No, high school.
Oh, was it? Oh, you were in
I
high school.
was
I remember that.
I was about 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
17. So
That's
one
crazy.
many people ask, well, how did you start business then? If you can't even legally sign a contract.
Yeah.
I use my mom's social, right?
That's
So
hilarious.
she supported me
I didn't know
enough
that.
and,
Uh-huh. She trusted you.
trusted me enough.
For
So
sure.
she gave me her social. So I was doing
Mm-hmm.
all the businesses under her name in the agreement that I would pay her, but
Yeah.
then also I would have to figure out all the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Because Uncle Sam, you can't ever get away from him. Even if you're using your mom's social and
Yeah.
whatnot, now your mom gets the tax bill.
No, of course.
So I learned
That's
that the
very
hard way
interesting.
when I basically was able to build out a store, and that store was able to scale. I understood there was a eco-friendly trend in markets.
Mm-hmm.
I understood that that was only going to grow and expand, and the market share was very big because it's
Mm-hmm.
not just girls, it's not just guys, it's not just young people. Everyone wants to save the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw money in this, right? The most amount of money you can make is when you catch a trend early. That's one point that Ty Lopez always mentioned and talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw that and I jumped on it. It only
And it
took me
worked
about
out.
16 days for that store to scale to $30,000
Nice.
using only Instagram influencers. From there, I was able to funnel that and start doing Snapchat ads. And
Mm-hmm.
then that's where I was able to do 2,000-3,000 a day
Nice.
netting, because when people hear that, they think, oh, profit only. But
Mm-hmm.
like that all net wasn't net profit.
Yeah.
I was maybe doing like 30 to 50%
Mm-hmm.
profit after
Nice.
ads and after product costs, which wasn't bad.
Yeah.
That's like the golden percentage, right? If you can get 50% in a store, that's really, really good.
Yeah. Are you still doing e-commerce right now, or
So
no?
I basically had sold off all my businesses. I shut that down. I didn't like e-commerce. Everyone talks about the journey of e-commerce, but no one talks about what you actually do when you make it, right?
Yeah.
The steps and the walls that come up when you actually hit almost 100K a month on
Yeah.
e-commerce. Everyone wants that, but then, right, it's like then you find out Shopify doesn't support drop shipping.
Oh,
Then you
yeah.
have payment processing issues. Now you have
Yeah.
Shopify holding 30% of your money
Yeah.
for 6
Your
months,
bank
right?
was also probably not happy about that.
Bank closed me down, so I got
For
kicked out of
sure.
Chase. So it was a big headache. So at the end of it, I exited at the
Mm-hmm.
perfect time, sold all my businesses and sat on my cash, and that's when I got into markets.
Nice.
Because I saw a trend. I was very connected in the e-commerce world.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was seeing all my e-commerce guys basically go into crypto and
Mm-hmm.
trading, which makes sense because what timeline was this? This was around 2020.
Mm-hmm.
This is when markets started to get artificially inflated because of the Federal Reserve de-raising interest rates, lowering them, and pumping money in the markets. Why? Because of COVID, the COVID
Mm-hmm.
relief fund. So I
Mm-hmm.
saw an opportunity
Yeah.
in that,
Oh, I
and I got
remember
into
those
markets and I
times.
started learning how to trade.
Yeah.
Because the nice part about trading is, whereas e-commerce, you take 20, 30, 50 hours to build out a store.
Yeah.
You're spending 10 hours a day managing that store, only for it to maybe yield a 20, 30% profit margin.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas trading, if you make an 80%, you make an 80%.
For sure.
So like I could put in $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
I could make 40% on that,
Yeah.
and I just made $400. And there was no fulfillment. There was no employees I had to handle, customers.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier, but not easier in the sense of like the path of least resistance, but it was something new that I could learn because I just felt like I had already done the e-commerce wave and I did it
No, for
well.
sure. And yeah, like what were some of the challenges that you kind of had to go through to become, an actual trader? Because I know that there's a lot of people that start trading and they're emotional traders, right? And that has a lot that looks like gambling to me, and that's something that scared me initially about trading before.
Right.
But yeah, what were some of the challenges that then led you to growth and become somebody that's not an emotional trader? What?
Yeah, no, I mean, so the thing about entrepreneurship is you only really fail if you quit.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that basically means that you just have to be persistent in something and you will eventually understand it. You may
Mm-hmm.
not be good at it, but you may understand it too enough to do something different that you were doing maybe before, right?
Yeah.
So with trading, it helps me a lot, basically to get my feet wet,
Yeah.
to actually lose money, lots of money,
Yeah.
right? Because with
Yeah.
that, losing money,
Mm-hmm.
it just hurts a lot different than when you aren't actually trading and it's just like you can read about riding a bike, you can
Mm-hmm.
read every book about it, you can read every article. It's not until you scrape your knee trying to ride that bike that you truly learn the mistakes of what caused that, right?
For sure.
Same with trading.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big step over the years. It just was formulating my trading strategy, my understanding in markets, what is money,
Yeah.
right? My financial literacy,
Mm-hmm.
enough to understand how to trade, which was a big part of like understanding myself, because I think that trading is like a mirror
Mm-hmm.
and it makes you reflect on like who you are, what your habits are, how your mindset is, and how you react to emotion and bad
For
times.
sure.
And
The
if
fear
you
and the greed, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
because people are inherently emotional creatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are inherently greedy
Mm-hmm.
and prideful. So like when we trade, all those disgusting features of us come out. The greediness of not wanting to close a position when you know you should, right? And
Mm-hmm.
where does that stem from? Pridefulness.
Mm-hmm.
The understanding of just putting as much money as you want in a position. Why? Because you are only looking at profit and
Yeah.
not what could I potentially lose here.
Yeah.
And I think that's
The
where most
risk
go wrong.
management.
They only look at how much can I make. Everyone just wants to become a trader to make quick money.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, those that you obtain quickly, you lose quickly. And that's just like the point I keep mentioning, because people don't grasp that. They may
Yeah.
they may ride the wave with Doge. They may
Yeah.
catch sheep, right?
Mm-hmm.
They may do some Tesla calls and make some money here, but
Yeah.
that's not actually trading. Trading is
Yeah.
really understanding all realms of markets that you trade.
Uh-huh.
Most importantly, understanding yourself, because I do believe, and when I life coach and talk about this, I highly believe that to be successful in any realm of online money,
Mm-hmm.
it just starts with yourself, because being broke is nothing more than just a broken mindset. It actually has nothing to do with your pocket, your bank
Mm-hmm.
account. It's
No,
all a
for sure.
byproduct.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say is one of the key differentiating points in between an emotional trader and you? Because I know you say that you have like a strategy, and you're not looking to make quick money. So
Yeah.
what's the if someone wanted to start that now, what would you tell them to first determine? Is it like a risk ratio or
Always.
yeah?
Yeah, it's always risk first. Understanding how much you can potentially lose is always key first, because then that's how you formulate an entire basis of a trade.
Mm-hmm.
How much will I lose and how much am I comfortable losing?
Mm-hmm.
Then knowing that, then you can figure out, okay, how much am I putting in now?
Yeah.
What's my leverage going to be?
Mm-hmm.
What can I risk, right? And most only look at what? Reward,
Yeah.
because we live in a culture, in a society that is fully indulging in dopamine, quick dopamine, right?
Yeah.
Dopamine everywhere. You drive down the streets, you have fast food everywhere, the music, the TV shows. It's all just quick dopamine hits. And there was a statistic I was reading. It was like 80% of Americans, adult Americans, are either drunk or high. Meaning you have
What?
100 people in a room, 80 of those people are either drunk or high, which is quite interesting to
There's
really think
no
about.
way. Wait, what? That's a statistic?
Yes.
Oh my God. That's crazy. And actually on drugs, like not just drunk or high, like high on life. Like you mean like on actual drugs?
Drugs like weed or caffeine or
Oh my God.
nicotine.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe not
Yeah.
heroin,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but knowing
Okay.
that, it just tells me one thing, that this society loves quick dopamine.
No, for
And
sure.
so that when people get into online money, when they make $100 on their phone,
Hmm.
that's a dopamine rush because you just made money.
And dopamine gets you addicted because you
Addicted.
always want it more and more and
Right.
more. So you're
So
looking
it's
for
just
quick hits.
exactly. So it's just
Yeah.
controlling that and understanding your risk. Most don't understand that. And if you
Mhm.
always understand your risk and that's always managed, then how can you really lose?
That's
A
true.
trade may not go in your favor, right?
Mhm.
That's just markets though. But
Yeah.
if you always have a defined risk,
Mhm.
then do you really ever lose?
Yeah, and then you could look at ways to reduce that risk because that's something that I've kind of understood as now I'm getting back into trading and all that. It's how do you lower the risk through having an edge or like having a certain data point or information that most people, they just see, the candle go up and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to
Correct.
ride this." No. You have to have some type of information to base the thesis on. And
Correct.
that's something that I know it differs from most emotional traders.
100%, right?
Yeah.
Because where are emotional traders getting their thesis off? Within, right?
Yeah,
Their
yeah,
own
like
thoughts,
what?
their own
For
emotions.
sure.
Whereas a technical trader, a person who's to the book,
Hmm.
just reads the charts. What does the chart say? I
Hmm.
don't have a bias up and I don't have a bias down.
Hmm.
I'm net neutral. So meaning
Yeah.
whatever the charts tell me, I do, and I'll
Hmm.
act accordingly. And if it doesn't work out, I don't cry. I don't hold on to position too long.
Yeah.
I don't become prideful. I just cut it. I take my losses like a man and I move on. Why? Because there's always another trade.
Yeah,
There's always
no, for
another
sure.
trade.
And that's something that you learn either through your own life and then apply to trading, or you can learn through trading and apply it to your own life. Because that's just kind of how all of the experiences that we have, you could choose to be emotional about it, and get really sad, really down, basically quit on yourself, or just take as an experience, learn what you can that you did wrong from it, and switch directions and do either the opposite, or if you messed up in a certain way, just change that small fact.
Yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, do you think that now you've kind of implemented a stoic mindset through trading, or was it the life that you lived, like the experiences that you had lead you to becoming more stoic within your trading, or was it through trading that you kind of learned to lose so much that you then decided to become stoic so that you could actually learn and then apply it to your life? I don't know if
Um,
that's making sense.
no, it made sense. A
Yeah.
little bit of both, I'd say.
Mhm.
I mean, because right, last year was a hard year
Mhm.
overall, and
Mhm.
there were outcomes just like in every scenario in life that you won't be able to control. The only thing you can truly control is how you react to that outcome,
Mhm.
good and bad.
Yeah.
And so that really reinforced, and I understood that in order for me to be fruitful and survive this bad period is for me to completely be stoic and understand that there's a higher purpose for why this is happening.
Mhm.
And then having that gives you a little bit of hope, right? And humans don't need much, but they need hope. Hope
Mhm.
gives you just something to strive for.
Mhm.
But then you mix trading with that, right? And when you're losing money based on your own self,
Yeah.
it becomes very noticeable and obvious. Like I said, it's like you're looking in the mirror, the man in the mirror, right? You're
Yeah.
looking at him
Yeah.
and you see exactly what's wrong and exactly why something went wrong.
Mhm.
And majority of the time, it's just because you are either
You're
too
being emotional.
emotional,
Yeah.
you had a
For
bias,
sure.
right? You're trying to be contrarian, or you're trying to be a hero.
Mhm.
And I just think that trading really does reinforce stoicism, right?
Mhm.
Because like the Stoics, many people when they hear stoicism, they often think it's numbing yourself. It's not feeling happiness or sadness. It's
Mhm.
just being a robot.
Mhm.
And that's a big misconception. The Stoics actually taught that good and bad must be felt, but mainly felt must be learned from.
Yeah.
So they
And
didn't
I
teach
love
on
that.
putting the attention on feelings, like I feel sad.
Yeah.
More of, I'm currently sad. What is the world trying to tell me, and how can I move on from this?
Exactly.
I like the philosophy. It didn't
I love
happen
that.
to you; it happened for you.
Uh-huh.
It's a great quote, and it's just like it's, in my opinion, it basically summarizes the Stoic philosophy. Whereas things will happen, good and bad.
Yeah, it's purely based on choice to look at something like that as well, you know?
Hundred
Because you
percent.
could choose to be like, oh, why are these things happening to me? Or you could say, oh, this is happening so that I can learn this certain aspect. And that, are you familiar with what like the locus of control is?
No, what is that?
So in psychology, an external locus of control is basically taking all external factors that you technically don't have any control over because they're not part of you. You think that those are the ones that inflict change and pain onto you. Instead of having an internal locus of control, which basically those people see everything that's happening around them as a byproduct of who they are within and what they choose.
Hmm.
You know,
That is
what they've chosen to be.
right, and that is interesting because a lot of people nowadays are sad, are depressed, are not healthy, right? They're not in the right mindset. Yet it's like simply your shell is sick because of your actions and your habits. And like it's like you said, you're just a byproduct of what you did.
Yeah.
You reap what you sow to an extent.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I just think it's important to keep a stoic mind in all realms, right? In business and in health and in bad times and good times in relationships.
Yeah.
Um, because I just think it helps align you more and it helps you keep it helps you focus in on what's important. Because if you're just going through life and all it takes is a gust of wind to blow you down and completely wreck you, then it's like your foundation is not the strongest. And
Yeah.
therefore, anything bad in life, which if it hasn't happened yet, get ready because bad things happen in life no matter who you are, what you are, or
To
where you
shape
are.
you, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had that yet, then good luck because
No,
it's coming.
yeah, that means that you haven't lived, you
Hmm.
know? Because it's part of the human experience or whatever you want to call it. It's part of life to have challenging things happen to you to then make you have the choice to become who you're supposed to be. And I think each human has that desire in a way to be able to overcome, be the person that is able to overcome hard things.
Hmm.
And
Easier said than done.
yeah, no, of course. And right now, I think in society we kind of see there's those two very easy options. One is to just instantly numb yourself out, you know, like something bad happens, quote unquote bad. And people usually like to just numb themselves out, whether it be through like alcohol, drugs, video games, you know, there's some like binge eating or anything that takes the emotions away. And that's why I think it's very important to differentiate numbing yourself from being an actual stoic or having a stoic mindset,
Hmm.
which is more about like realizing that the feeling is there, but learning from it instead of just numbing yourself or giving up. Because I don't think everybody just like gives up. They just forget about it or like they try to make it go away.
Out of
You
sight,
know,
out
they
of
don't get
mind.
depressed, but
Right.
they're not here anymore.
Hmm.
They're numbed out completely.
And I think a big reason on why that happens is because their reality is too much to handle because of what they've created. So what's easier is just to ignore it completely and desensitize. Because I mean, I think about it like if I messed up so much where my habits now are completely controlling me to the point where I can't get out of it, the easiest option would be then to just have that philosophy out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
and just forget about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
You're
like
alive, things work
exactly.
out,
And it's
and you
easiest.
get trapped in that mindset. It's
For
almost like
sure.
your own internal prison.
For sure. But it has to be a conscious choice, right? Like that's where I kind of get, to me that's not possible, and I'm trying to, I guess, figure out what is the differentiating factor when someone is not exactly able to realize that they have put themselves in a position where they're they're stuck and they don't want to realize that they're stuck, you know?
Mm.
Because I think there's people like you even, or even sometimes me,
Mm-hmm.
where it's impossible to ignore the fact that you are stuck. Like I can't I can't numb myself out of it. Does that make sense?
Does.
Yeah. And
Like it's just like in your face.
yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to fix it.
Yeah. But
Right.
I'm trying to, I guess, understand if you have a take on why there's people that, even if it's clear in their face, you know, like they're ruining relationships, they're addicted to stuff, they're not happy with their body. Why is it that they still choose to keep in the same ways? Even if they know, you know, like there's got to be a part of them that knows, or is it just that they don't know and they're not realizing it yet?
It just comes from comfort.
Comfort. Yeah, it's all comfort.
Comfort and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
It's not having discipline to change
Yeah.
and like staying true to yourself, but then
Mm-hmm.
also being comfortable in that. Even though you know that is bad, even though
Mm-hmm.
you know it's negative, you're just comfortable in that scenario. It's like I said, it's just like an internal prison
Mm-hmm.
that you've created for yourself that only you can get out. And it's
Yeah.
funny. It's like you're the one that's stuck, but yet you're also the one that holds the key to get
Yeah,
out.
for sure.
So I just think it stems from comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Comfort and the lack
That's
of
interesting.
discipline, which most have.
Mm-hmm.
They're lacking discipline.
For sure.
A lot of issues that humans have, specifically men,
Yeah.
can be resolved by just being more disciplined. Right? If you understood not to eat McDonald's and you stopped eating McDonald's,
Mm-hmm.
then you wouldn't be eating bad food, right?
No,
If
for
you
sure.
understood that you needed to start researching something and really diving into it, then you would just do that.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's like all these things that you know that you must do, you would just do. But like so many have such a hard time doing the bare minimum of what they know they should do. Like how many motherfuckers miss brushing their teeth at night,
Yeah.
right? How many motherfuckers can't even dress nice?
Mm-hmm.
Go to the gym at least twice a week, yet they want the world. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it's a paradox that specifically, right, the West has built up because it's just a very comfortable environment.
Yeah,
No one
and
tells
I
you that's
agree
wrong.
with you. I do agree with you, but it's so that's the thing. Like, why is it that it's so in your face? And I this is also a problem that, like, obviously both women and men struggle with these types of things, and I understand that. But with men, I've just kind of felt, even with the guys that I've dated in the past before, that they're not able to take responsibility for the things that have happened to them, and they're comfortable enough, because even in the West, it's not like you're getting pushed. You know, there's so many things that you could just instantly. There's air conditioning. There's there's so many things that, even when I go to Mexico, it's something that you don't usually have. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I was sweating. I was so uncomfortable the whole time. You come back here and, you know, you have AC.
You have washing
There,
machines,
yeah, washing
dryers.
machines.
No,
Everything's just
absolutely.
super clean. So I guess I'm just, yeah, that's
It's
an
because
answer that's still.
I mean, I can only answer it just in what I believe and what I've seen, and it's just society. There's a reason why 90% of marriages end in divorce,
Hmm.
right? It just comes back from society and how we've positioned ourselves as humans in
Hmm.
this society that we call America.
Hmm.
So, for example, when you're young, right? If you're a young kid, let's say a man, that means that 90% of the chances like your dad wasn't there. So then you
Yeah.
didn't have some kind of father figure in the house,
Hmm.
or vice versa. You just had a mother.
Hmm.
Or no, my apologies. You had just a dad, not a mom,
Hmm.
right? So like already just fundamentally off the bat, you're lacking something
Hmm.
from your family unit. So then you're growing up and you're going through the motion, right? And you're just kind of doing whatever society tells you to do because it feels good. And then you follow your friends and you go do your own thing. And then now you're 18 and you just graduated and you're about to go to college.
Hmm.
And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
It's like completely just missing the point of like building out something within yourself. And I just feel like, oh, that's why a lot of men
Hmm.
specifically are very immature.
Hmm.
I think that no one is telling or forcing them to become mature because they don't have to.
Hmm.
Because they still get the girlfriends, they still go out, they still drink, they still have a good
Yeah.
time, they feel good.
Hmm. So it's a mix of being way too comfortable and at the same time letting their environment dictate who they were supposed to become.
Correct.
So either way, both are kind of just like a lack of responsibility in a way.
Discipline.
Yeah.
I've been talking to you over the past few months, and you're kind of stepping into the trading entrepreneur journey that you have been on, but in a different path, right? So
For
you've been
sure.
doing the modeling,
Yeah.
and everyone knows you as the model. So, like, what's going on with that now?
Yeah. So basically, I started modeling when I was 18 because one photographer from my school said, like, hey, you're kind of pretty. Like, let's just go take some pictures. And I hopped on Instagram when it was still kind of just growing. You know, the algorithm was perfect.
Mm,
You would, when you followed somebody, that would actually show up. Now it's just a little bit different. But
okay.
because of that, I really became a model. It's not that I was looking to become a model. And from there, what I really, really liked was just experiencing going and traveling and meeting new people and kind of understanding their different worldview and their perspective.
Hmm.
And from there, sorry, from there, it kind of just grew more and more. And then I started getting paid shoots and collaborations. I did some different deals with brands. So that has always been fun, but it's definitely not been my calling, like, or not calling, but it's definitely not been what I want to be labeled as.
Mm,
I don't want to be just a model. And that I think stemmed from really understanding that although, yeah, you can be pretty, there needs to be some type of depth to a person. And I think that that applies to not just women with, you know, their physical appearance, but with guys with money.
So, I mean, I've been meaning to ask you because I'm noticing you're venturing off into new avenues in life, right?
For sure.
You're you're stepping kind of out of that modeling scene and going more into the like philosophy, trading, and
Yeah.
biohacking scene. So, what stemmed from that and why? Because it
Yeah.
seemed like it was working for you. You have the followers, you're known around town, right? I see you on the bus billboards and everywhere. So, like, what changed in that though? Because it
Yeah.
seemed like it was working.
No, for sure. It was kind of a conscious choice. I think I unconsciously or like kind of like by accident almost fell into what is modeling. I kind of just really enjoyed meeting different people and understanding their different perspectives and traveling. So all of the perks I really liked within modeling, but I
Mm-hmm.
always knew that that wasn't all that was me. And now I've kind of redirected in a way towards more like philosophy and psychology, and that's something that I am really, really passionate about, and not just, you know, just the shell. Um,
Right. So
yeah,
like it seemed like modeling was working.
yeah,
You're building the followers up, everyone loves you, the engagement's good.
yeah,
So like why change and venture into something new? Most
yeah,
people don't like to go into something new.
yeah.
So why was that something that like you want to do
Mhm.
even though you're getting all the perks of being a model? You're
Oh,
still
for sure.
traveling, you're still shooting, you
Yeah,
still get the engagement. So why
yeah.
change?
Okay. Well, then now I do want to say that there were times in my life or experiences that happened or circumstances that just came about
Uh,
that kind of made me realize that I needed to not just be a pretty face, even though I could have very much chosen to just live off of that. And I think a lot of people nowadays do, you know,
mhm.
like if you have it, might as well, you know, take the easy way out. But within my life, there were many things that weren't extremely aligned to the the perfect type of model like life, if that makes sense.
Uh,
So yeah,
Expand on that.
like many people don't know that I have a disabled brother.
Mhm.
So ever since I was little, it wasn't like I had a perfect family. I wasn't always accepted. I was always the weird one out. I came from Ecuador, so I had a huge accent when I came here, and
Mm.
I wasn't understood. I remember trying to make jokes and trying to make jokes in a different language. People just don't get the humor. So I would be kind of like the odd one out. And then on top of it, my disabled brother would, you know, he would be the one that would be the kid that was screaming in the supermarkets and would always have like that type of spotlight
Mhm.
on me. And then from there, it kind of, yeah, just life happened, you know? So different experiences kind of led me to realize that it doesn't really matter how pretty you are or even how much money you have, but who you are within. And that kind of took me more into a self-reflective period.
Mm.
And I think you could even see in my Instagram, like I knew that there was more, and you could see that through my captions, I think, that I would try to really put words into what I was feeling and delve more into philosophy and things of that nature. But after getting really shaken up by life through life experiences that you kind of knew, or like things with my sister, things with
Mm-hmm.
my dad, just I kind of had to take a step back and really question my beliefs and where they came from and why I was the way that I was,
Mm-hmm.
so that then I could change the things that I wasn't happy about,
And that
you
makes
know?
sense. That definitely makes sense
Hmm.
because if you're not happy, then like, what do you do,
Yeah,
right? And you must just change what's the source of that.
for sure.
So,
And
but like, my point is, it was working though. So
mhm,
like that must have been really hard for you. Like you even mentioned like you had people and you could have made probably a lot of money if you went the route of like OnlyFans or
yeah,
going to LA or doing things of that nature, right? So
hmm,
like why not?
why
Because I
not?
know like many people if they have the following and they have the looks and they have like that already persona, then why not just take the one step leap and maybe go do OnlyFans and get a fat bag, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like why didn't you do that route then when like most girls are doing that?
Yeah, to me, it has everything to do with authenticity.
Mm.
I I knew that that wasn't who I was, and that's something that I've always had kind of a good grasp of. I've had a good grasp of like when I'm being inauthentic
Mm-hmm.
and when it's not aligning to who I really want to be. And I had experiences even when when I would try to lie, because I got really good at lying. That's another sidetrack story, but I got really good at lying because I had strict parents, and you know how strict parents create kids that lie and all of that. So
Right,
I got
right.
really good at lying, and that kind of broke me. It broke me from within, and I realized that I couldn't keep living in a way that wasn't authentic to my being. And this kind of all lined up by the time that my modeling career kind of took off. And I think you're right. Maybe if I would have really pursued it and gone the route that the world wanted me to take, kind of, or what other people expected of me,
Mm-hmm.
by either doing like OnlyFans or becoming, I don't know, Sports Illustrated model. I don't know what the goal of that would have been.
Right.
Then I think I could have been successful, but only in that realm. And that's not what success means to me. I think,
What is
yeah.
your symphony of success? So like meaning like a symphony is an orchestra, right? It's like
Hmm.
orchestrated by certain things
Hmm.
that you must put together in order to get this symphony.
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you? What do things need to be put together in place to become success in your
Hmm.
book? What does that look like to you?
For me,
What is success to you?
yeah. I mean, there's so many ways that you can answer that question, but at least currently, based on all of the information that I've been gathering from this self-reflection period that I've been on, is that success is having a good relationship with yourself,
Mm.
so that through that good relationship that you have with yourself, you can then give to other people the same type of relationship you have with yourself. So for example, like I think success means to me that I'm able to be compassionate with myself
Mm-hmm.
when I fail, but I'm also able to push myself really hard until my breaking point,
Mm-hmm.
because that means that I'm self-disciplined enough. And then also being able to distribute that to the relationships that I have with my sister, my brother, anybody that I meet. If they do something that I don't agree with or that pisses me off, right? Instead of being reactive and emotional and kind of judging them even,
Mm-hmm.
or making fun of them,
Oh
I
wow.
kind of take it in like a loving way and have more compassion towards them,
I
because
see.
that's mirroring the relationship I have with my own self. So that is currently what success means to me, and that then later gives you what everybody else considers success, because I do believe that through that you become authentic with yourself, with others, and it all starts falling into place because you know who you are.
Mm.
And then, yeah, things like money come easily.
The
Things like,
byproducts.
yeah, like a good
Right.
relationship with a good partner, choosing the right partner comes easily. Having good friendships comes easily because you also have good boundaries within yourself, so you have good boundaries with other people, so you know when you shouldn't hang out with certain people. So it kind of just has all come together, and that is what success means to me. But now I'm curious, what is success to you? Do you agree with what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No,
Have you felt
authenticity
that?
is highly important. Not only for you, but for the people around you, because many people have a front, a mask, right? And so when you are authentic,
Yeah.
it's highly noticeable
Yeah.
because that's an energy that emits that's very rare in this day and age. So I entirely agree. I would say my symphony of success is really simple. It's just freedom of time, freedom of money, and freedom of uh, ability to do what I want to do. So yeah, freedom of time in all aspects.
Yeah.
I just feel like many people now are tied down to something they don't want to be, i.e., a wife, a girlfriend, a
Yeah.
job, habits, things that they just know they don't want to be doing. And they are just wasting all this time working, I don't know, going to a school they know they aren't going to use the degree for, working on a job they absolutely hate. And for me, I hate wasting time.
Yeah.
Because the thing about time is so many people are stingy with all of their other things in their life, like borrowing people's shirts, lending out your car, right? But no one's stingy with their time, and that's literally the only thing you can't ever get back. So success for me is freedom of time in all aspects.
Yeah.
That's why I really enjoy trading because trading has made it so it's all reliable and reliant on me. My outcome and results are determined based on the effort and the amount of work I actually put into trading and markets.
For sure.
And I like that because I trust myself just because of my past history with e-commerce and other businesses that I've done
Yeah.
that I've achieved well, that I know, okay, if I set my mind to anything, I can achieve it. And that's what was really a really telling point when I did e-commerce when I was a kid was, whoa, like you literally set your mind to something, you dedicated the time
Yeah.
and the effort to do it,
For
and
sure.
then you did do it. And you beat that 99% fail and you became the 1%. And after that, it just really became really obvious, like, whoa, I could literally, if I wanted to, set my mind on anything, like going to the moon, doing literally anything, and I can achieve it. And like having that kind of trust and confidence in yourself
Yeah.
is highly needed in order to achieve, any kind of basis of success, in my opinion. And it doesn't even necessarily need to be money.
For sure. Do you think authenticity plays a role in what you're saying? Like, does being authentic even within yourself? Because you even mentioned that if someone's doing a job that they hate, or they're going to school that they don't really know what their degree is, or like if they're even going to use it, in a way you're betraying yourself to just doing whatever other people expect of you, or other types of forces putting this on you, so then that's
Right.
why you're doing it. So you're betraying yourself, like kind of damaging the trust within yourself, and 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 kind of just missing, that connection that you need within.
And why, right? Because you're so concerned about other people when you should be concerned about yourself. Because I often think when I'm doing something like a podcast, posting on Instagram, on Twitter, and I have that brief moment of, oh man, like what if people don't like this? Or what if, right? The what if thoughts
Yeah.
creep in. And I catch myself and I say, fuck them. Who cares?
Yeah.
What if? Yeah, who cares? It does not matter because at the end of the day, when I'm sitting there on my deathbed and my mom's dead, my siblings are gone, my family's not there with me, no one's there but me and my thoughts. That's what is going to matter. And you're either going to be left with, right? The pain of regret or the pain of discipline.
For sure.
There's always going to be pain though.
Yeah, and okay, that's so good that you brought that up, because I love pain. I love talking about pain. Sorry, when I say I love pain, I don't mean like I'm masochistic, but like I love pain because I've realized that through pain, and mostly emotional pain, it's just it's what shapes and molds your character, and that is what kind of gives you an opportunity, right? Gives you an opportunity to become who you are supposed to become, if you want it. If you
Right.
want it. Some people, pain swallows them whole and they are
And
left
they're
on the
consumed
ground.
by it.
Yeah, they're consumed by it. But for other people, you can use that pain to exponentially grow more than ever before, and even possibly maybe sometimes even more than somebody that wouldn't experience those types of
And
pain.
I entirely agree because in
Hmm.
my life, the most excelling factor, the force that has moved me the most has been pain.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and fortunately,
Hmm.
pain is everywhere and pain is just a reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's about what you
and
do with it.
exactly, because
Yeah.
knowing that, okay, I'm going to have pain and I'm going to have suffering
Hmm.
and I can expect that, I really can't control anything other than how I react to that.
Hmm.
And then reacting to that in a way that's productive, right? You're using, because energy can't just be destroyed. You
Hmm.
must convert energy into something else.
Yeah.
Either that's momentum,
Hmm.
friction,
Hmm.
something. But you can't just destroy energy. So, using that pain, knowing it's an energy, how do we convert it to something else? How do
Hmm.
we shift the paradigm that I'm in currently
Hmm.
and start going to the gym more? Using this to motivate
Hmm.
myself. So, like, you'll see many people will break up or their girlfriend break up with them. They'll be heartbroken, right? They'll be very upset. The world has ended. And then next thing you know, in a few weeks, he's in the gym and he's
Hmm.
working out super hard, right?
Yeah.
That pain is now fueling him
Hmm.
to work harder.
Hmm.
Or on the flip side, we all know that person that, yeah, he lost his girlfriend. Life didn't go too well afterwards. He became a drunk, an alcoholic, ate bad food. And then at the end of it all, he just ended it.
Yeah.
So, like,
That was dark.
yeah, but like life is
Yeah.
dark and the truth is
Yeah,
dark.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like
no,
that's
for
like
sure.
the
That happens
reality
to a
we
lot
live
of
in.
men.
Yeah, that is the
Yeah.
reality we live in. I mean, I think it's like every 15 minutes or something, there's like a guy who commits suicide. So
Yeah.
like, and don't quote me on that, but like statistically speaking, guys are in society. When guys are in society, they have a huge expectation that you must be on top of your game. You can't just be good looking. You have to be good looking. You have to drive the good car. You have to have aspirations. You must achieve and also perform. You can't just be pretty, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just believe like there's a pressure in society that men deal with,
Yeah. They're supposed to
and
be the providers.
right, and a lot
Mhm.
of them miss the mark.
Mhm.
And a lot of them don't know how to react to that after missing the mark. They
Mhm.
don't know how to like bounce back once you're from rock bottom. But many
Mhm.
people at rock bottom often forget that the only way up, like there's only one direction when you're at the bottom,
Yeah.
which is up.
Which is
There's
up.
only one way, and it's
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, unless
So
you end
then,
it, which is not the way to go.
or you just keep going down more.
Yeah.
You can keep going down. Like you can be in an uptrend or you could be in a downtrend. That's what I say. You
Yeah.
spiral up or you spiral down, but it
Yeah.
is entirely up to you and your decision.
And then it comes with the responsibility that I think we were talking about earlier, you know?
So
Like
like for me, when I'm
taking
going through bad
responsibility.
things,
Mhm.
the best thing that has helped me is getting close with God.
Mhm.
Absolutely getting close with God. Going to the gym, eating healthy, right?
Mhm.
Biohacking has changed my life because when you realize that what you put in your body, you are what you consume.
Mhm.
So like what you put in your body is poison, you inherently then become poison and
Mhm.
sick
Yeah.
and not healthy. Therefore, your mind can't perform at a degree where it should
Mhm.
to then make money, to
Yeah.
then succeed, to level up the
Of
game
course.
character as we talked about earlier.
Yeah. So right now, what are the poisons that you're avoiding, or what if you were to tell somebody that it's first time that they're hearing about biohacking, what would be the top things to avoid? The
But
things that are poisoning
yeah,
you almost.
real simple.
Mhm.
You avoid any food listed on the stock market. That is McDonald's, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, all that shit
Seen
you
all of them.
avoid. Why?
Yeah.
Because I know being in markets that all those companies are solely waiting for the quarterly earnings, which simply means that they're basing everything
Yeah.
on profits,
And they're
not
making it as
people,
cheap as
as
possible.
cheap as possible. And
The
therefore, I
quality
won't
goes down.
consume or touch anything that's for profits, not people.
Mhm.
First note. Second note, I would never touch water fountain water, nor would I touch any kind of fountain drink from McDonald's or Wendy's or any place like that.
Yeah.
Why? Like getting a coffee at McDonald's, I would never do because they tend to have tap water, uh, and which tap water has fluoride or pharmaceuticals, which then
Yeah.
calcify your pineal gland, which then hurts your brain.
Yeah, no, have you even heard that, like, since all the girls are taking the pill and they're on estrogen like pills
Right.
or things like that, their pee goes into the water
which is
system
in our water
and then is in
system.
the tap water,
Hmm.
making the guys much more feminine and
Absolutely. So I absolutely avoid that. I don't even
yeah.
give my dogs tap water. I think that's abusive.
Wow.
And I'd even
That's
go on the
cool.
record to say I'd rather drink my own pee than drink tap water,
Because it's cleaner.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I
So.
mean, that's the second point. The third point is
Mhm.
just eating real food. It's real basic, right? What you consume shouldn't have a library list of ingredients. You should
Mhm.
understand exactly what's in your food
Mhm.
to a degree that literally makes sense. Like you read a label and it has 4 ingredients,
Yeah.
right? It's just simply meat, protein, fiber,
Mhm.
salt. It doesn't matter what the ingredients are, but you shouldn't have red 40. You shouldn't have high course corn
Yeah.
syrup,
So
cane
basically,
sugar.
non-artificial stuff or
100%.
processed stuff.
100%. And
Just.
I think that fixing that
Mhm.
key area, which is just your diet, right? It's your body. This is your filtration system. This is what manages the outcomes of what you want in your life. So if
For
you're
sure.
not taking care of that
Mhm.
vessel, then of course you're going to feel bad. Of course you're going to feel depressed,
Yeah.
feel sick.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think I've had a very close experience with that.
mm,
I've kind of seen somebody that I love go through, the waves that happen when you don't take care of your body because the truth of the matter is that the food that you put into your body does affect even your thoughts, your
mm,
emotions, how how motivated you are towards accomplishing goals because it
right.
changes. Yeah, like
No,
sugar changes,
yes.
even the mood in little kids.
Right. And it
Yeah.
blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind
Hmm.
that people can't grasp the concept of understanding that you must become something.
Hmm.
Like you must take care of something, like i.e. your health first before you take care of your bank account. And it's just
Hmm.
a funny, interesting paradox that we live in that people think it's the opposite. No, no, no. I'll focus on making as much money and then the health aspect comes
Hmm.
last, right?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make any sense to me, and it's so
No.
simple. And every single person is poisoning themselves one way or the other. So then trying to avoid that, like,
Hmm.
it's crazy to me.
Yeah, that
Motherfuckers
will
wake
give you that
up,
advantage though.
right?
Yeah, because nobody is doing it.
Well,
Well, not nobody, but almost nobody is
I mean,
realizing because it
right?
is annoying.
Everyone, you're in school and they often teach breakfast is the most important meal of the day,
Yeah.
right? And motherfuckers then wake up and eat bacon, eggs, and whatever, bread, and then
Yeah.
drink Coke right in the morning,
Hmm.
first of dawn, just like right when they wake up,
Yeah.
not letting their system recoup the food they ate before because they're eating 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
Hmm.
right? And if you understand just the simple concept of like, where did we even understand breakfast? Why is that a thing?
It was a marketing.
It
It
all
was a
stems
marketing
from
thing.
Edward Benet, right? Who
Yeah.
was a marketing genius. He's
Yeah.
actually quoted the father of propaganda.
Oh yeah,
And
that one.
so
Hmm.
the beef industry came to him and said, look, we're having an issue not selling sausage and bacon. Figure this out for us. They then therefore made breakfast the most
Hmm.
important meal for everyone.
Yeah.
Who's the nephew of this guy? The CEO of Netflix. It's quite
Oh wow.
interesting, right? All the
Oh shit.
consumption that people do on
Yeah.
Netflix, yet it's just like what he
Hmm.
was doing back in the day, programming,
Yeah. Programming
propaganda.
humans to become more just consumers. I think that's the issue.
And the fact,
Becoming a consumer instead of a
right,
creator.
100%,
Hmm.
consuming,
Yeah.
consuming, consuming, consuming. That's what everyone is doing. And the
Hmm.
fact that no one
Hmm.
is uh, researching simply like okay, I watch Netflix every day. How did that start, right? And then you go down the rabbit hole of, oh wait, the nephew of Edward Benet, and then finding out that he was the father of propaganda. He's the reason why we eat breakfast. On top of it, he's the one that empowered women during the movement, right, to smoke cigarettes because you would be just like the men, right? So he had all these pregnant women smoking cigarettes, and that's why in
Yeah.
some period of time cigarettes were healthy.
Yeah. No,
It's funny. And
that's
it's just a
ridiculous to
paradox that
me.
people live in, and they're yet too blind to open their eyes to see that this is a matrix. And
Hmm.
it's like what I was talking about in the beginning. Do we live in the movie The Matrix? Not necessarily, but it's just a system that's pulled over your eyes that makes you believe in what's not there.
Hmm.
And we saw this very evidently when? When COVID happened,
Hmm.
right? When they made you go and stay home, you couldn't go out, you couldn't go and exercise, you couldn't get fresh air, you couldn't go and eat good food. They literally shut down everything, forced you to stay in your home.
Hmm.
And what made me realize or look a lot closer at everything was why are the gyms shut down? Like,
Yeah.
if we know that this is like a big disease and like health is wealth, then like, why aren't they promoting healthy habits? Like, I
Hmm.
know in El Salvador, they gave every member of their country gym memberships. They actively wanted people outside. They gave
During
them,
COVID?
absolutely, they gave
That's
them
crazy.
ivermectin, and
Oh.
they posted everywhere
Hmm.
that you need to work out, and like having healthy lifestyles and drinking water and
Hmm.
going out in the sun will actually be beneficial.
Hmm.
Yet on the flip note, we had America tell people, no, pause, you can't go into this subway, you must have a mask on, and then you can sit down and take your mask off, but then in order to get up again, you must take your mask and put
Yeah.
it back on. It was just a pure control move, and it was
Yeah.
very obvious, and it's scary. It's a scary thing when
It's scary
people,
how many people actually decided to go with the flow on that one because it
exactly,
really shows how many people rather be safe and comfortable and told like being comfortable and being told what to do instead of doing their own research and following their own intuition and their own selves and figure out if what they are doing is actually backed up by the facts.
right.
They're just some guy from the CDC said that this is a fact and they
Right.
believed it blindly. So that's really scary.
Right. Well, I mean, it's scary. It's a really scary concept when you look at the sky is blue,
Hmm.
but they're saying the sky is green and everyone believes that.
What it tells me is that people just don't want the responsibility of themselves.
Hmm.
They rather they no. I think that like basically there's such a mistrust within themselves. And I think even like the game masters, right? The ones that the programmers, the people that are trying to control others almost by making them consumers.
Hmm.
Those are the people that have kind of also made sure that people don't trust themselves. Like, you don't know what you're doing is basically the message that you get constantly put on over and over on repeat. And from there, then you're able to introduce, or they're able to introduce what they want you to do. And
Hmm.
people, instead of questioning it, they don't have any idea what their intuition is telling them, and rather just be like, okay, whatever you tell me is the safe thing to do, that is what I will do.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, we just saw COVID was controlled a lot by emotion. Don't go outside. You're going to kill your
Hmm.
grandma, the old people. Right. So it's like everyone is just based off emotion, not logic.
Hmm.
And like, if we really just step back, it's like, we can't operate like that,
Hmm.
especially as a man. It's
Hmm.
like a lot of men just like completely funneled into that trap of just like being scared and submissive
Hmm.
enough to not do anything or even to the point not think freely. And that's
Yeah.
really scary. It's really scary to be in society when there's just people that don't see what it is for what it is and
Hmm.
instead just view the facts on like a more, they view facts not as facts but just as like it's subjective thought or
Hmm.
thinking,
Hmm.
which doesn't make much
No, for sure.
sense.
But I think like not the controllers, but the people that are profiting off of you love that.
Well, as my
Yeah.
segue into this, right? Because
Yeah.
if we go deep in the rabbit hole, it's like, okay, we had COVID.
Hmm.
We had the jabs made by Moderna, Pfizer, all
Hmm.
those places.
Yeah.
Who's the top investor of these places? BlackRock,
It's so insane.
you
And
know.
yeah, like I even heard that they had tests for it even before COVID was a thing. Like they already had it almost made.
Wouldn't have I wouldn't doubt it, right?
Yeah.
And so like who's the owner of these pharmacies pushing, who's the top shareholder of these pharmacies pushing the jab?
Yeah.
BlackRock.
Yeah.
And then
That's
like,
what we need to look at.
right.
Yeah.
So it just goes deep. And like it depends how deep you want to go, but like
Mhm.
basically when you get to a point in society where people, the men
Mhm.
specifically,
Mhm.
are submissive and blind to
Yeah.
what the truth is. So like when Rome was falling, they just constantly had plays in theater
Mhm.
and Coliseum events. Why?
Yeah.
Because like if the men and the people were distracted, they could have control.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw. Give the bots their stimulus checks. Give them that free money. Let them be on unemployment,
Yeah.
right? Because then if we give them, right, it's like you don't bite the hand that feeds you. And if you're getting all this money from the government because of COVID, then why would you ever even question
Yeah.
A, where that money's coming from, but B, why are we even in this mess in the first place? We just all confined to 2020. And 2020 was a bad year for most. It
Mhm.
really was.
Yeah.
And I sympathize for those people. I really do, because it just came like just like an unexpected event.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's getting late here. The
It
sun's coming
really is.
down.
It's so cold.
It's a little
I've been
chilly.
shivering this whole time. Yeah.
It was really good speaking though. It's really good to,
Yeah.
get this down. I really I do think that this
Yeah, this
podcast
one's
is
down.
I think it's good momentum, right? Because even if
Mhm.
no one views it, at least we have our thoughts put into words
Mhm.
that we can look back and
No,
grow
for
from.
sure. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this and really pushing me to break out of my shell. Because as I've said, in a way, I've just been collecting a bunch of data, and I finally have some type of way to decipher what I've collected and make an opinion about it. So
Right.
I think it's really cool, and it's a great opportunity that I'm grateful for to be able
Absolutely.
to put this out into the world, and maybe it will resonate with somebody, you know?
So, I mean, to close it, just tell me, like, what does your 2024 look like?
My 2024?
Yeah.
Let's see.
We're only a few
Um,
days before the new year, so what does your
yeah.
2024 look like?
My 2024 is gonna look like reaping, I think that's the word you use, reaping the fruits that I've been slowly cultivating
Okay.
throughout 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what this year really means to me, because as I said, self-reflection period, kind of just collecting data. Now I'm excited and I'm willing to make certain moves and adjustments without what was holding me back. And I think, yeah, like I've had to go through a lot of painful experiences to kind of shed all of the things that were holding me back.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you want something more concrete, I guess it's gonna really show in what I'm doing for money, which is something that I enjoy. And I know that me and you were meeting a lot to trade,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that I'm very, very excited about. So that, cleaning up all of my relationships in the sense of I now know that my time is limited. Like
Mm.
I know that for a fact. Like I feel it. Like I know that people say that, like time is, precious and all that. But now I actually feel it. Like I don't have a single second to waste. So really just putting more effort into the friendships that I know are very highly valuable, while also cutting down on the things that just no longer serve me. How about
I
you?
like that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good response. I mean, for me, it's real basic.
Hmm.
I'm going to Asia in 2024,
That's sick.
possibly India.
Yeah.
Big things coming,
No, it's gonna be
lots of
fun.
momentum, and just really zone in.
Hmm.
Really zone in on myself, though, right? Because I don't want to be distracted and have the world, you're doing so good, and then I get cocky and then don't feel like I need to grow anymore. So I really just want to zone in on
Hmm.
2024 and become wiser. Because I think wisdom is
Hmm.
something that I'm always striving for. And it often reminds me of, like, in the book in the Bible when King Solomon asked God,
Hmm.
or no, he was praying to God, and God answered him and said, I'll give you anything you want, just ask. And King Solomon then said, all I want, God, I don't want land, I don't want the women, I don't want the money, just give me wisdom. And God
Yeah.
was really pleased with that, so he gave him that, but then he gave him everything else.
Well,
And
yeah,
I
because you
just,
can attain everything else through wisdom, I
wisdom,
believe.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's the moral of that whole of
I
that
like that.
story is
Hmm.
once you're wise, everything else comes together. And I
Hmm.
really am striving to be more wise in all realms. So
And I see
that's what
that.
I'm focused on in
Yeah.
2024. Just leveling up, glitching through the
Learning, right?
matrix, and learning
Yeah,
always.
learning out of every single experience, no matter if it's good or bad.
When you're learning, you're growing.
I love that. Yeah, well, thank you for meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.